All right, we are back here on the Crash Report. You can listen to the show anywhere you get podcasts. You go to our YouTube channel for highlights, clips, full interviews, and more. You can hit us up on all social media at Crash Report Show. And this is brought to you by Major Awesome Hot Sauce. You can go to their website, majorawesome.com. Use code CRASH for 10% off your order at checkout. And I am here with Leigh Kakaty from Pop Evil. Leigh, what's happening, my man?
Not much, man. Thanks for having me on.
Sure. I heard you had to go to the doctors. You had to cancel. You had some allergic reaction or something. You all right?
It's been a rough couple days for me. I actually got my eye is swollen shut, so I've been dealing with a little bit of that. Finally, and I've been on vacation. I've been out of town, so finally got back home the past couple of days and got to my own eye doctor. So hopefully I'm better here in the next few days. But it's been a fun experience, right? What are you gonna do?
Yeah, no kidding. Hopefully you get better. Glad we could.
I appreciate it.
Glad we can make this work.
Yeah, thanks for being patient with me.
Yeah, for sure, man. So you guys got a new album, Versatile, that's coming out in May. But from what I hear, this was pretty close to being done like a year ago before the pandemic hit. Is that right?
It was. We were excited, all planning to have this thing out last spring, hopefully, and get ready for our upcoming tour. And then, of course, COVID hit. We were kind of hopeful that maybe it was going to only last a couple months. And then, before we knew, it was then, now it's been a year and all that. So, here we go.
I heard the song Set Me Free, and man, I got to tell you, for one, that's probably one of my favorite Pop Evil songs that I've heard.
I love that. Thank you.
And the visualizer was just fucking killer, man. That was a pretty cool thing to watch.
They did an awesome job, man. And especially with COVID, it just, you never know what's going to happen, but all the art guys trying to get it done and fulfill the band's vision on what we wanted visually for this album. They just out of the park. I mean, just totally speechless when we saw that. I mean, every now and then you get those takes and those rough takes. You're like, no, we need to do this and this. That one was, oh, nope, I'm done. That's done. Let's just wrap it up and put it out. So it was awesome to see how they were just passionate about our vision, and what they done and Set Me Free was incredible. The artwork on the album is amazing too. So we can't wait for you guys to see all that.
When you guys have always had some cool videos. I mean, Footsteps and Ways to Get High, and then the new stuff like Breathe Again. I mean, your visuals I feel have always been pretty top notch. Is that something you guys intentionally like try to? I mean, obviously you want the videos to look good, but I mean, you guys go out of your way to make these things look better than most other bands?
Well, absolutely. Which I don't know about it, trying to be better than other bands, but we just try to really take a visual. With a name like Pop Evil, it stirs up emotion for a lot of people in a lot of different ways. So we always try to use our visual opportunities to, to show people kind of where our head's at and why we call this thing Pop Evil. And again, with kind of being more rock crusaders for the genre, and with pop music kind of abandoning rock and metal voices. It always pissed us off, and Pop Evil, the name of the band, was kind of that mission statement that just kept us motivated over the years, and that visual display has always been so important to the band, and whether it was depicting the song or showing that energy or that emotion, our visuals, especially on the music videos, have always been important to us.
And you've said before, I was watching another interview with you, and you said that people that are in your inner circle, like family and friends and stuff, when you show them demos of newer stuff, it can be a little daunting sometimes, because a lot of times they're kind of leaning, I like the older stuff, blah blah blah, and I was curious when you showed the demos for the new album Versatile, what those people thought, because I know you've been really hyping this one up quite a bit.
Yeah, it's like the best question I've been asked, because that's such a real question for any musician or rock star or whatever you want to cut it. It's like our go-to listeners a lot of times are our family or close friends. It's like those guys, those people in our small circle, like give us that fuel, like, oh, that might be a song that's going to work, or oh, nah, that was not good enough, let's just go from there. And even sometimes when your family doesn't like the song, or those close friends, then maybe, okay, that's a good song, because sometimes they have different expectations, and they're close to you, and they're not necessarily looking at it from a business standpoint, or from even a Pop Evil standpoint. They're just looking at it for them and you and what they know and love about us individually. But yeah, they as far as this record goes, I kept a lot of it kind of very tight this time around. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew the heavy had to be heavier, and I knew that the melody had to be even more experimental at times. Hence the Versatile name was just kept resurfacing itself, constantly over and over. And that's kind of where the name came from. But yeah, you're exactly right. We wanted to capture that energy from the demos that always seem to get lost once you find a new producer and then you have to re-record these demos. The energy is lost, right? I mean, sometimes when you're just off tour and you get in there and you write or you demo, there's something just incredibly exciting about that first moment you recorded or lay down that vocal track or that first guitar lick, and wanted to definitely build this album around that. And that's why I think this album just blows away anything we've ever done, just because we had to recreate everything else on previous albums. This was all stemmed off first takes and original concepts, and those original sounds and things you love about this album, or you will love on this album, are basically off those first demos. So it was super cool, something different we'd never done before, and that's kind of where we took it.
I got to be honest, back in the day, like when I first started hearing the name Pop Evil, I was like in this thing. I mean, I was a very young guy at the time, and I was like, oh, I don't want to listen to any new bands. Like, fuck this. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
And then I heard, they're like, oh, well, there's a song with Mick Mars in it. And I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. I'm like diehard Mötley Crüe. That's my all-time favorite band, which is crazy. A lot of people. I'm 20,
mine too.
I'm 25 years old. Most people my age are, listening to Lil Nas X or something. Right. But right. And that song, Boss's Daughter, that was on War of Angels, which I think this year is like the 10th anniversary of that record. Is that right? It came out in 2011.
Crazy.
I think.
I haven't even thought about it, but you're probably right, man. It's been so long now. It's such a great memory. Just the whole spot, just going to Mick's house and writing the album, having to make a spaghetti. It's still to this day the best pasta I ever had in my life. So it was just such a great moment. And of course, what people don't know about that is the label at the time didn't want to do the video. So I was super bummed just from a legacy standpoint. Like, we can't have Mick on the song and not shoot a video. This is ridiculous, And I remember I ponied up the money out of my own pocket, and Mick said he'd do the video for free even. And so the video is super personal, and I'm super close to that video because it was such a pivotal time in our career that we wanted to put that out there. And there were so many things that were going to lead to us not doing it. So it's definitely the 10th anniversary. Crazy to think. And huge video, one of our most famous videos to this day.
Yeah, I was curious. I mean, obviously this is old news now, but how did that whole thing come about? I mean, where did the idea even come from to have Mick Mars on that?
Yeah, I mean, well, like you, I mean, Mötley Crüe is one of my all-time favorite bands. I mean, I grew up in Michigan, so that I'm old school, right? I like to think about finding some of your buddies in your hometown and, being rebellious to your parents and rocking in your basement or your parents' garage and then taking it to the world, right? And just kind of that Mötley Crüe story, growing up in LA and Hollywood and just taking over, one club at a time. And so I've always been real close to the Mötley Crüe story. And, we just reached out. We had some pub company was asking me who would be my dream guy to write with, and Mick was on my top 3. And they were like, well, let's get it done. Mick's interested, and kind of took on from there. But the crazy story, I remember I was writing Monster You Made at the time, and I was doing that during the day. My old guitar player at the time was with Mick while I was doing vocals on the other track. So I hadn't gotten there till late at night. And I remember Mick jamming on the song, and quote unquote, I remember listening to it for the first time, and he was jamming the opening riff, and he kept doing it with this wah foot pedal, and he just kept going, man, this riff is so fucked. And I'm just like, what the fuck? That's what he did. He loved it. He just kept repeating it. This riff is so fucked, man. I love it, And I'm like, there's not even a song here. What the fuck am I going to do with this song? And I got to write some lyrics to this thing. And literally, from that moment to, I think, 24 hours, I wrote the hook and the song kind of came to be. And at that, when he first played the riff for me, I'm like, this isn't even going to make the record. I remember management hit me up. They're like, how'd it go with Mick? I'm like, we don't have a song here. So I don't know. It's a sweet ass riff though. The riff is fuck, bro. It's fuck. But it was just crazy, And I remember shooting the shit with him that night. We talked about aliens, and I remember we talked about his guitars in the Hall of Fame, and it's just awesome. He's just the greatest guy. And it's just, again, man, I don't get awestruck anymore in this business, but that was one of my awestruck moments that the kid in me was like, dude, I'm at Mick's jamming. And then of course to have the song be a staple to this day, it's one of those things you're proud of when you look back at your legacy. And it's like, dude, come on, a song with Mick, wrote a song with Mick Mars. Never going to get better than that. So super cool.
You said he was in your top 3 of people to write songs with. Who was who's the other 2?
Probably, Kid Rock and Eminem on Michigan, or it would have been Aerosmith, Bon Jovi, just some people that were just not even, I think I just put them up there for just shits and giggles, obviously Metallica, I wouldn't have even gone there. That probably wouldn't happen. So again, I just was trying to be realistic. I threw some funny ones out there. Not even a Mötley Crüe was kind of a joke. I'm like, they're not gonna write with us. I mean, at that point it was 2010, right? When we were writing it. So, I mean, we were just a baby band, so again, I don't even remember. Probably something. I know Aerosmith was on there for sure. Mötley Crüe, and they were just like, just shoot it down. Don't even think about it. Who would be your dream people to work with? And I think I did that. I think Kid Rock was on there. Maybe Bob Seger. I'm a Michigan guy, so some of that.
A Pop Evil Eminem collab would be kind of cool, I think.
It would be sick, right? I mean, I've always grown up. I mean, all the hip hop influence you see in this band, or from me, has always been from Marshall and Bob. Kid Rock and Eminem were always my icons growing up in Michigan. Those were the guys that not only were inspiring me musically, but they were inspiring me with pride from the state. Sometimes being from Michigan, you feel a little left out, right? Because you're not as cool as the New York and LA.
Oh, I'm here in Ohio. I know exactly how you feel. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like they make us feel like shit. It's like, oh, you got no problem taking our money, and they call us the best touring area in the country is the Midwest, right?
Right.
But they got no time to call us cool. So it kind of, Kid Rock and Eminem were everything for us. And the band was just breaking in the late 90s, so Kid Rock and Eminem were in their prime. So, I mean, you couldn't even go out your door without hearing about either of those artists. And then to this day, even when I think about live shows, I've seen so many great acts, but Kid Rock just live was just insane, dude. I mean, whether you like him or not, he just brings it. And he's just so passionate about his brand. And as an entertainer, I definitely respect that, and he's up there not only singing and performing, he's DJing, he's playing the guitar, he's playing the drums. I mean, he's just a true musician. So, super cool. And then of course, Mötley Crüe was that example just from pure rock, I mean, drug, sex, rock and roll, that old analogy. I don't think I can hear that without thinking of Mötley Crüe. Is always the first thing that comes to mind, so. And then, of course, Aerosmith was the classic, just super cool. Dream On, to this day, one of my favorite songs of all time, Put that song in and you can jump for joy with your homies, or you can put that song in by yourself in your car late night and tears fall, So
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
just, it's just kind of one of those bands. And my favorite band ever growing up was Pearl Jam. I mean, I loved how they could go heavy, but they could still bring out the acoustic guitars, and you'll see that total influence in Pop Evil all day long. I mean, I'm one of those singers that I'm very mood driven, I mean, I never liked being called rock, metal, alt, hip hop, pop. I don't even care I don't want to be called anything. I'm a musician the same way I like to listen to music, right? You think about people ask you what you listen to. It's just so stupid to me. Like, right. We like all kinds of music, man. If I'm listening to it with the kids, then give me some Disney music. I don't give a shit. Like, whatever, dude. Like, if it's melody, it's melody, So I've always been one of those guys that I've been more of a hook guy. I've always been interested in what kind of hook gets grandma moving on the dance floor, right? You're at a wedding and nobody's dancing, but then later on in the night, they're playing Pantera Walk, and grandma's out there singing Walk with her horns up. I'm like, dude, now that's a fucking song to me. That is song. Like, because normally, grandma don't give two shits about Pantera. But grandma, you were just rocking out to Pantera. She'd be like, what? I don't know what that means. Well, Pantera, you like your metalhead? She goes, I don't know. But she's into it because she loves the hook, So I've always been inspired by hooks and things that very big on this Versatile record, whether you like Pop Evil or not, or the band. Hopefully you'll be singing that hook by the end of the song if you actually give it a fair shot, And this song was all about not keeping anything. I don't care about any saving singles for later. We put every song a single on this record. Now, of course, there's going to be some people like better than others. I understand that. But from a band perspective, for all of us as a band, we were like, we basically demoed 30 songs, and the best 12 we felt like we were singing the most, we put on the record. Like, we didn't even overthink it. We're like, if we like it, we know we can crush these songs live, then they're going on the record. After that, next album, right? That's kind of how it went.
How do you think the band has changed and evolved, like since War of Angels or Onyx or the first record, anything like that? I mean, obviously, the society that we live in has changed quite a bit, especially in the past year, but with the world changing and then obviously maturing as songwriters and everything else, I mean, how do you think that has affected the band?
Oh, big time. I mean, it's even from our heaviness, I know our core audience always wants heavy, 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 but understanding the band's roots, we've always been a radio band first, So back in the day when we started, when Lipstick on the Mirror came, I mean, Five Finger Death Punch wasn't even getting played as much as they do now. Heavy music at radio wasn't accepted as much as it is now. So we've been able to get heavier. And it's funny, people close to us especially, they're like, you guys are pop evil. It's a lot of melody and popular stuff and not as much heavy as we want to hear. And I'm like, well, you got to understand, we got to go where we can make a living, you know what I mean? And the heavy. So these past few records, especially, we feel like finally we can, let more of that pop evil side come out. Waking Lions kind of triggered that last record. And, you kind of test the water. I think another thing important to understand about it is the meet and greets that now are such a huge staple of how bands tour, that you can finally now, instead of just someone buying you a shot at the end of the night, you can actually see who the real people that care about your band, that actually want to have a conversation with you. They're spending that extra bit of money to get close to you and talk to you about things they like and don't like about your project, and it's been awesome to hear the one thing we always hear is we want more of the heavy pop evil, and we want, when's the acoustic album coming out? So I'm like, okay, so you want the yin and yang, you want that versatility that we've always been. So we kind of separated that before COVID. Now we started to do some more acoustic touring. There was talk maybe even this year about putting some kind of an acoustic album out, but maybe it was an acoustic live thing we were discussing too, where we could do more of our acoustic and ballady things there and leave it there. And then we could, use the main band and the core pop evil sound to bring more heavy and take more risks with different sounds and genres and collabs and keep it there, So again, just I think that the years go by, you're constantly, if anything, changing, constantly trying to be better than your last record and be better than you were. Because at the end of the day, man, it's your journey, right? I mean, that's what we leave. No one's going to remember the competition or where you were on the charts or how many people liked you or didn't. They're going to look at that legacy and that catalog of music that lives on. So that's kind of where we focus and try to always outdo ourselves every album, every chance we get.
Well, as far as, kind of changing things up, the one thing that has always been mind-blowing to me, I'm so glad you're here. I can ask you this finally, is how did the Pop Evil tour with Poison happen?
That's a great question. I can give you the business question or I'll give you the real one, right? So you want the real one. So the real one was, we were set, any kid's dream is to play Europe, because the European festivals are just insane. I mean, European fans, I've always said it, they're just different, man. They come early. They want to see the openers. They don't have the same exposure opportunities that we do here in the States at radio and all these other ways that we're used to finding bands. They go and find it, right? And you see that when you go to a European festival, there are 100,000 people or more every time. It's just insane. So of course, any kid's dream in the band is to play in front of the masses, right? So we had all that booked. We were set up to book that. It was the first time we had played it in a few years. So we were all excited. And then we get a call from the management that, Brett, who's a friend of mine, and they're considering Pop Evil for the Pop Evil Cheap Trick tour. And I'm like, are you kidding me, man? Like, we cannot. I'm a fan of music, right? And how many times are you going to get to tour with Cheap Trick and Poison? Cheap Trick, one of my favorite bands all time too. And we get to be on that bill. So, we made a choice, and, I definitely was big in that choice. And I was like, I want to play with Brett, and I want to play with the Cheap Trick fan, and it was just amazing. I mean, to this day, one of my favorite tours all time. The way both bands took us in like brothers. I think, we were singing and performing with both the bands by the end of the tour. Every night we'd be up singing with Cheap Trick or singing with Poison. It was just how touring should be, and the way they are and the way they treat the opening bands. They're obviously very aware of the rock and roll bands on the come up. They weren't afraid to watch us every night. There was no ego in any of those bands toward us. And it was just a magical experience. I know I speak for every single band member in my band. It was just to see the smiles on everyone's faces internally. It's what it was all about, man. And to do Sheds that summer, it was definitely a festival and a touring experience we'll never forget. So hopefully, the bad side is we didn't get that, that European tour exposure. So hopefully we'll be able to, get back on, and hopefully we can actually travel here soon first and get back and make up for that soon.
Well, the interesting thing to me about the Poison tour is that, a lot of newer bands, they seem to kind of stray away from, touring with, I guess, quote unquote, legacy acts, because I guess they have this fear of being categorized a certain way. But I guess the thing with Poison and Cheap Trick is that, it's there's very few older bands like that, but they're still, it's a lot different, I guess, for lack of an example. It's a lot different than touring with, Faster Pussycat or something like that. Yeah.
And we discussed, that there's discussion that if the band was afraid of that, and we're just, again, man, we never got into this to be famous or to make money. You know, I mean, obviously we want to make money, and it would be great if people like the band and some kind of fame. I understand that, but we just do what we want to do, man. Like, and when we realize, like, look, if people put us in a category, then guess what? We're going to have to write better songs to dig our way out. And if that's where we fall, that's where it falls. So again, we try really, really harder. And the older we've gotten, the maturation process of this project is to just we don't worry about the things we can't control anymore. Like, our families and friends love us. Like, who cares, dude? Like, you know, if that's the case and we don't be it, then you know what? There's a real estate license waiting for me. I have no problems doing something else. It's all good, dude. It's all good. Dude.
Right.
I don't care, man. It's like, whatever. All I know is that no one can take that tour away from us, and to play with Poison, Cheap Trick. If you would have asked me that in the 80s, man, I would have lost my shit. So you know what? We got to pull that under the notches and, you know, just keep rolling. And to be honest, on the flip side, tours are not easy to come by. You know, I mean, it's not like we had some insane tours that we were going that options. Like, when you're a band on the climb these days, and again, we're right in that middle slot, like, of touring, where we need to get a certain amount of money or it doesn't make sense. Like, we're not going to just go play for free anymore. Otherwise we're going to lose money. And that's a big part, because, you know, trying to get to these other countries around the world and really spread that pop evil machine and grow it, you need to have, the band needs to have a certain bankroll to grow. Otherwise, you know, we got to, you know, rely on the label, and that's not cool. The label doesn't want to spend a ton of money on your expenses any more than they have to. You have to take on some of this stuff yourself as a band, as a team, as a business. And, you know, we wanted to make sure that we controlled our own destiny, and the tour made sense. The money made sense. And the fact that, you know, the two bands that wanted us on the bill was a huge compliment. And, you know, we made some lifelong friends because of it. And, you know, if something else came like that, we'd be open. And again, if you look at our track record too, for Pop Evil, in '08, we toured with Tesla. So it was a huge learning and a big, huge moment for the band. And we still have Tesla fans that come watch us to this day. And then our big break with legacy bands, if you want to call it, was 2010, when we got to tour with the 30th anniversary British Steel tour with Judas Priest. To this day, it was one of our biggest tours of our career. It was just amazing. So again, you never know. Sometimes there's hidden gems and opportunities come out of those tours that, you know, but I understand the fear. I mean, obviously it's a business, and, you know, it can look damaging at times in certain ways to certain people. But, you know, from a band perspective, we just want to play.
Before we wrap it up, the one thing I was curious about is, you know, you say that Pop Evil is, you know, it's kind of like a yin yang kind of thing. And I've also heard you say that, you know, when you guys were first kind of coming out, that was at the time when people were trying to, you know, they were kind of, you know, rock was getting pushed aside, and, you know, pop was the big thing, you know. And right. I'm curious on your opinion of the whole Lil Nas X thing that's in the news with the quote unquote satanic video and the
sneakers,
and the shoes with the blood in them and all that kind of stuff.
It's funny you say that. For one, I don't really know who this Lil Nas guy is. He's a rap guy. Is that the guy that did the thing with the country guy?
Yeah, Old Town Road. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, but I do know about these sneakers because I had a buddy in the studio the other day just tell me about it, because I'm a huge sneakerhead. So he's like, "Did you hear about these?" But I'm an Adidas guy. So he's like, "Did you hear about those Nike Dunks or something they did?" And now Nike's suing him, right? Because there's a drop of blood in them or something like that, I think I heard.
Yeah. Yep.
But what do I think about him as an entertainer? I don't know a lot. I mean, I guess he's capitalizing on his moment, right? Is he even a good rapper? He must be if he's got billions of streams, right? You think, or maybe my kids know. Did he do that holiday song? There's a holiday. I think he did that song, right?
Maybe.
Or is that?
I just know
I get.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Little X Nas. I get him confused with that Nas rapper that was around in the old days. You know what I mean? So I get confused. But I mean, I wouldn't know. I mean, I guess again, obviously, if he's, you know, that's the thing with pop music, man. Pop is more hip hop and rooted in ways that it's like shock and awe, right? I mean, they shock their audience, and it's like, oh my gosh, is he satanic now or something? I never knew he was satanic or not. I don't know.
Well, I think that's that's the thing, is that, you know, Old Town Road was like this huge thing that, you know, kids were into, blah blah blah, and then you know, his new video with that goes along with these shoes, he you know, he rides down a stripper pole into hell, and he gives the devil a lap dance, and, you know, and it's this whole.
Oh, okay. So that's his theme then. So that makes sense.
Yeah, that's like that's like this new thing, you know. So it's just very interesting because this has been going on, like, you know.
He sounds like he's he's like a fluffier rapper, right? I mean, there's your hardcore rappers. There was Snoop and Dre and Pac right back in the day. And then there was like Will Smith was a little bit lighter and happier rapper, right?
Right.
He seems like he's more of a happier rapper if the kids are all into it, right? I don't know. But I mean, he must be good if he's got, I know that Old Town Road had about 1 billion streams or something, right?
Oh my God. That song was massive.
Isn't like the biggest song of all time, maybe? To beat like a Bieber song or something? Who knows? But
I think so. I think it was. I forgot about that. Yeah, that was with him and Billy Ray Cyrus. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm sure it's good. I mean, I get it. Do I listen to it? I don't really listen to it. It's just rock or metal for me these days. You know what I mean? And if that, it's just no music at all. Trying to rest my ears, man, while COVID's here to just kind of get ready to come back and throw down when we get back.
Well, before we wrap it up, what does Pop Evil have coming post-COVID? Because it does feel like we're on the home stretch here.
Yeah, man. I mean, we got some cool shows lined up with Shinedown, one of our favorite bands. You know, love the guys. And we got a few dates now booked in August. Again, honestly, I haven't been paying attention really any serious because I just don't want to jinx it. You know what I mean? I've been like, just okay, can't wait till I'm on stage. But I know I'm excited about the Shinedown dates. I know they're trying to book some more around that. I kind of can't wait for the first couple tours to kind of get done and over with. So now there's people are more comfortable. You know what I mean? I'm sure the first couple tours will be awkward, you know, from a promoter standpoint and from fans and, you know, even with meet and greets, like how that's going to go. So I can't wait till, you know, we're back in the flow. So the sooner the better for me. I just want to get it started and kind of put those opening days behind us and then just get back to normalcy, man. I mean, you definitely have learned, you know, what can be taken away from you, not being able to play. It just, I mean, and even just playing, it's one thing to even be in a professional touring band, but even not even to be playing in your hometown. Like I could be gigging at bars. You can't do any of that stuff. So it's been very devastating. It's the first time I haven't played for any of us, I think, since we were, you know, young teens. So it's definitely, I think, reminded us, you know, not to take, you know, those little things for granted. So hopefully we'll see a lot more appreciation from all sides, from artists and fans when we get back.
Well, you know, everybody kind of thinks like, you know, once we get the clearance for shows and all that kind of stuff, that everybody's just going to, you know, the floodgates are going to open and you know, and I'm sure that there will be a newfound appreciation for, you know, live music in general, at least for a while. But I think you're right. It is going to take a little bit of time for, you know, certain people to feel comfortable, you know, to go out and do a packed out show.
I don't blame him. You know, I mean, you want to make sure at any kind of a public event that you're as safe as possible, right? You know, no one wants to be hurt and something they love. And yeah, it'll be interesting. I wonder if it'll be state, city based. You might have a couple shows on tour that are completely packed, and then you might play for a very small amount of people. And I don't think anyone artist wise would care. We just want to get back. But that's kind of what I'm saying. I can't wait till the first few tours are over with and people get more confident and, you know, we can get closer. I mean, even if we play 2021, which I hope we do, I think by 2022, hopefully, I'm assuming we'll get a little closer to normal with people like rubbing shoulders and rubbing sweat and forehead bloody from the mosh pit type vibe. You know, I don't know if we'll see that right away, you know, this summer. But again, you never know too, man. I mean, people have been caged up. I mean, for the first time in any existence that we've known, it's certainly any existence that we've known, and they might be ready to just get back out and go jump in. I mean, there'll certainly be those kind of people that want to do it, and we'll see how it happens. But we're definitely ready to do what we have to do to keep our fans safe and get out there and hopefully play these new songs and keep everyone having a good time.
Well, make sure you check out the new single, Set Me Free, and make sure you pick up the album when it comes out on May 21st. Versatile from Pop Evil. Leigh, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And we'll be right back on the Crash Report. Hang on.
We'll see you next time on the Crash Report. While you wait, make sure to like and subscribe to the show, damn it. Thanks for listening.